Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Okay, I have to start and get this vlog done because I just got on my Instagram and I also got on my Twitter because I was uploading some videos. I filmed a drama video today and a Peter Does Stuff video. I had therapy. I wanted to film some other videos, but just time got away from me. Alex is home. And so I was like trying to get these videos up so I could come out here and vlog. And while I was like, while they were getting done rendering, I went into my Instagram and my Twitter, and it was just like message after message after message from people saying, really bad weather is coming your way. You guys are getting like thunderstorms and tornadoes tonight. I was like completely unaware of that. And so I got on the Weather Channel. You guys want to guess what time it is? And gosh, I'm not really sure exactly what time it is. The last time I looked, it was 5:48. So it probably is like 5:55 right now. And the temperature is 78 degrees. I just looked because I got on the Weather Channel app and I looked, and there's a thunderstorm watch out until 9 p.m. and it is in our area. It's in Marion County, which is where we live. So yeah, so there's a thunderstorm watch out. It's interesting, like, I mean, I've grown up my entire life with tornadoes and tornado drills when I was in school, and you would have to, like, you know, go sit in the gym with your back up against the concrete wall and then, you know, do all that kind of stuff. So we did tornado drills when I was growing up as a kid. I've actually, in my life, I think I've only seen partially like one tornado ever. I mean, like, obviously in like movies and TV shows and stuff, but like ever. Well, that's not true. I guess a couple times I have, like in a distance, like in the road and whatever. It's actually really, really scary. When you see like storm chasers and tornado chasers and stuff like that, it's crazy to me that people do that. I mean, I understand the fascination with weather and storms because, I mean, I kind of have a similar fascination with it, but not to the point where I would actually put myself right in the middle of it. I just got some iced coffee while I was rendering. It's like the ice is starting to melt because it's so humid outside today. I mean, you very much feel like you're in the presence of something that is bigger than you. I can feel the rain. It's starting to get on my legs. So it's like lightly raining right now. So I don't know. But anyway, I've grown up with like tornadoes my entire life, living in Indiana. We're right in the middle of the, you know, the tornado belt kind of thing. But it really hasn't ever affected me. Like, it takes the electricity out. The electricity will probably go out tonight, which is why I'm trying to get my videos up now, so that if that happens, I can still get my videos up. So I don't know if this vlog will even get up tonight or when it will get up. The electricity usually only ever goes out, like, at the most for like an hour or two. But like the electricity will go out and whatever, depending, I mean, unless it's like a really, really horrific storm. My phone's charged, Alex's phone is charged, we have chargers that are charged in case we have to, like, you know, do other stuff, but, so yeah, so, I mean, I've grown up with, like, the fear of tornadoes my entire life. The one time I remember, like, really being scared this was when I was still drinking, and I was downtown at a friend's house, and he lived on, like, the 6th or 8th floor of, like, a 10-floor building, and, what's eerie about it is, if you don't live in an area where there's ever tornadoes, is that the sky changes colors. Like, it gets very, very still. Like, the birds stop chirping like that. Like, it's just still. Like, right now there's like breeze in the trees and stuff like that. Like, everything becomes very, very still. And then the color of the sky kind of changes if it's still light outside. And then, well, in Indianapolis, we have alarms. So if there's a tornado in the area, if it's like touchdown, the alarms will go off, and you'll hear the alarms in the distance. We have a fire station right up the street from us, so the fire alarms will go off. And that's when you're supposed to, like, go into your basement. And thankfully, we have a basement, so we can go down there. And I think Alex and I have only ever had to do that with it back in the day when all the dogs were here. We did it, like, one time, and we stayed out in the basement, and just, like, we didn't even lose, like, cell service or anything. But the one time I was downtown with my friend, he had made me dinner. I was probably 19 or 20 at the time. It was just a friend. It wasn't like a date or anything like that. And all the electricity went out in the building. That was scary, to be, like, in a building when the electricity went out. And then we, like, looked out the window, because he had, like, a window that looked, like, straight downtown, and you could see, like, the tornadoes, like, in the distance. That was, like, the one time I really remember it. I can remember other times, too, I feel like, when I was, like, driving, and you could see them, like, way in the distance, and then you'd, like, pull over and, like, you know, wait for it to pass and stuff like that. I actually have a friend of mine she's had kind of this entirely crazy life. Like, all these crazy things have happened to her in her life. And so she used to live in Indianapolis, and then I met her. I was friends with her for like a year and a half before she moved, and then she moved to LA, and then my roommate was friends with her as well, and she moved to LA, and they lived together. And then, so anyway, but this friend of mine, she's had kind of like this entirely crazy life. Like, her stories are like unbelievable when you hear them. I think I've talked a little bit about her. She's actually working on a memoir, so, because there's like, I mean, it's like big crazy stuff that's happened to her with like big names and stuff like that. So I try not to share too much of it because, first of all, it's kind of unbelievable. Second of all, it's her story to tell, but this part she wouldn't care. But so it was during, I feel like it was like Easter. It must have been, I was like Easter or Thanksgiving, but I feel like it had to have been Easter because this is more like tornado weather this spring. And she went home to go visit her family. Her family had moved from, they lived in southern Indiana. They lived in Columbus, and they had moved from Columbus to, I think both her and my roommate's family moved to Kansas. I feel like it was Kansas. But anyway, and so she was there visiting her family. Well, she had a paper to write for a class, because this was when she was in college. And so they were all going, like, bowling into town. They had just, like, moved there, like, a month before. It was her parents and her younger brother, and they had just gone to move there. And I'll never forget, because when she would tell this story, I had these sheets on my bed, and they were kind of, like, real unique sheets. They were, like, when I say this, it won't give them any justice, but they were cool sheets. They were, like, paisley, but they were, like, burgundy. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, her brother had the exact same sheets, because this is how she remembers it. So she went to go visit her family. She had had all these experiences in her life where she, like, barely, like, lived. I mean, it's, like, unbelievable. Like, she has, like, chanced death almost, like, 10 or 15 times in her life. Like, she should not be here. And so she was visiting her family. They had, like, dinner, and then the family decided that they were going to go into town. It was, like, this small town they lived in. I can't remember where. To go bowling. And so she was like, well, you guys go bowling. When you come, they were going to come back, and then they were going to all watch a movie. And she was like, when you come back, we'll watch a movie, and I'll have my paper done then. So the family went bowling, and there was, like, some other family visiting there, too. And so, like, she got her paper done early, and they were still bowling, so she went into town, because she kind of wanted to just, like, drive around and see where the town was. She was like, I'm going to surprise my parents, and, like, come, and, like, at the very end of them bowling, I can hear the thunder in the distance. And she was like, I'm going to surprise them. Oh, this is what happens. So it, like, storms, like, really bad, and then it gets like, completely silent. And that's when you know a tornado's in the area. It's very scary. So, anyway, so she was like, I'm going to go into town. I'm going to surprise them at the bowling alley and just, like, show up there, right? So she went into town. Well, as she drove into town, the alarms went off, and there was, like, tornadoes in the area. And so she didn't know her way around there, and so she just, like, pulled in somewhere. It's like the storm passed, and it was, like, horrible. It was, like, horrible. There was, like, 10 tornadoes that touched down or something. I don't know how many tornadoes, but, like, it was a lot of tornadoes that touched down in this area and, like, just destroyed streets and whatever. Well, she had literally left the house, like, 20 minutes before the storm hit. And so she drove back because she thought her parents would come back to the house to, like, find her or whatever. This is before cell phones and stuff like that. So she drove back to the house. Well, when she got to her street, they lived in a very suburban area. When she got to her parents' street, the police had it, like, gardened off, like, you know, with caution tape and stuff like that, and she couldn't pass. And she's like, my parents live on this street. And they were like, 5 houses were demolished. And she's like, what are you talking about? And they were like, 5 houses were just leveled. They were completely demolished. And she was like, I literally, like, just was here 20 minutes ago. There's no way. And they're like, no. And so, like, they took her down the street to her house to make sure her parents were there. And her parents were, like, in front of it. Her house was completely demolished. She had been there, like, 20 to 30 minutes before that. Her house was completely flat and completely demolished. And in the tree, she said, were, like, her brother's sheets from the bed. Which she would always say was like, oh my God, I can remember looking up and I knew those sheets because you had those sheets. And her house was like, her parents' house was like completely leveled from the tornado. Isn't that the most, that's like so scary, isn't it? And she was like there, like she had been there like 20 or 30 minutes before. She finished her paper and she was like, I think I'm just going to go and like surprise my parents. So, I mean, I've heard so many people with like tragic stories of, you know, in Indiana, we have like lots of trailers, lots of trailer parks. they get hit a lot by tornadoes and stuff like that. You know, you see it like in movies like Twister, and it seems kind of like scary and kind of fun, but when you live in it, it actually does like tons and tons of devastation to areas. Indianapolis, now watch, I'll say this and something scary will happen, but like Indianapolis, like we'll have them like touchdown. So I think a watch is when they're looking for them, and a warning is when it's touchdown, if I remember correctly. And they'll let you know that one is like, they're two different alarms that go off. One is like long, that's like the, like, no, maybe they just do it for the warning. The long one is when it's like ooh, ooh, that's like when one is touchdown. And that one is kind of like, it's like a scary alarm, like it feels like a war or something like that is going on. And they touch down often, but I haven't really seen them where they've done like tons and tons of damage, except for like country, like areas in the country outside of Indianapolis. And I've seen some like areas that are just like when you drive by, like on the interstate and whatever, it's just like horribly like ruined. But thank you guys for being concerned about me. That means a lot to me, and I really, really appreciate it that people DM'd me about the weather. I mean, I got a lot of DMs about it. I was kind of surprised that people were like, there's like really bad storms in the area and stuff. I didn't even really know. The sky is kind of a weird color, like over there. You can't really see, like, I mean, it's kind of like a grayish color. If you grew up with tornadoes, you know what I mean. It's like the sky is moving really fast. The clouds are moving really fast. And it is kind of like a perfect day, like a perfect, when they talk about the perfect storm, because, like, listening for the rain, because I feel like it's starting to, like, rain harder. I'm going to vlog until, like, I'm either going to vlog for like 30 or 40 minutes, or I'm going to vlog if it starts raining like really hard, then I'll go inside. It'll just be a short vlog tonight. But when I say it's like a perfect day weather-wise, it's like very humid outside. It's like damp, and it's hot. And those are like the days of like tornadoes when they like come around. So apparently there's like bad storms. We'll be safe and we'll watch out for it and stuff like that. I was like, I said to Alex, I said, make sure you charge your phone, and we've got extra chargers and stuff like that. You always keep that stuff like candles and chargers and flashlights. You always keep that stuff handy when you live like in Indiana, because like there's a lot of storms. Storms here, like ice storms in the winter, not so much to the thunder, not so much, now I like a good thunderstorm, period, end of story. Not so much snow, but ice storms in the winter are bad in Indiana. And then thunderstorms and tornadoes are bad, and wind storms in the spring. And the summers are just like heat, but like the heat can take out the electricity sometimes too. It's really weird. Our electricity grid in this area is so bizarre. She and I are like the outside neighborhood. We have no idea why. So my neighbor Laura next door, she's been in some videos of mine in the past and stuff like that. She and I are on the grid that is outside of our neighborhood. Everybody else is on a different grid. We have no idea why. And so like if their lights go out, we might still have our power. Or our power goes out and they might still have their power. There's no rhyme or reason to it. The power actually went out, I think I probably talked about it on here. It's like a week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. And I was sleeping, it was in the morning. I know because like I sleep with a fan, and so it's like the fan, you know, goes off. You hear it because like it'll like beep, like the fire alarms inside beep and stuff like that. And so the fire alarms beeped, and then the fan went off, and I was like, oh, because I can't sleep without a fan. And I was like, and it's like total silence. It's like you can't turn anything on, and so it's just like laying there. Usually like if the electricity goes off like that, it goes off and then it goes right back on like in like 5 minutes. But it didn't. It lasted like an hour and a half or something like that. Hour and a half or 2 hours. It was like long. And it had something to do with like somebody, like it had something to do with, what do you call it? I don't know what it's called, but like the not the power grid, but something had happened at like one of the electrical like stations that like took it out, and they just had to like fix it for like an hour. So that was why it was down. They were fixing it. But today has been a good day. I just wish I would have gotten some more videos filmed, because like I said, this weekend I have like a busy weekend. Tomorrow's Cousin Fun Day, so I don't know what time I'll get home to film videos. So I just wish I had gotten like a few more videos filmed today. So last night I started watching Here Comes the Rain. Sounds pretty though, doesn't it? Can you hear it hitting the leaves of the hostas? So, oh, by the way, my neighbor across the street in the corner, he gave me the number. He put it in the mailbox today on a piece of paper of the guy that did his landscaping. And then my favorite neighbors that walked on the street that said there was this woman in the neighborhood, he put her business card in an envelope and left it in there. So I've got two numbers for the walkway. I didn't call them today, but I'll call them tomorrow. I mean, if it just rains like this isn't bad. Oh, it's getting really dark out. The clouds are getting really dark. So yeah, so like this weekend, I have a lot to do, so I was wanting to film more videos today. Last night, this is what I was going to say. Last night, Alex is now, he finished Dead Boy Detectives. He really liked it. And he said it's based off of like a Neil Gaiman, which I have like a bunch of Neil Gaiman books, but I think I've only read like, didn't he write Coraline? I think he wrote Coraline. I think I've only read like the graphic novel of that. But I have like American Gods and something else. I was telling Alex, I was like, do you know like what a famous writer he is? Like he's really super famous for writing like fantasy and stuff like that. And I was telling him like his backstory and stuff like that. Anyway, he's watching the next one. I can't remember what it's called. It's what Dead Boy Detectives comes from. And it's been out already. I want to see what it's like. Stardust or Star something. But he's watching that now. He started watching that last night. So he wasn't really wanting to watch anything. So I wanted to lay down and take a nap, but I was like kind of like up a little bit, and so I watched. We were gonna go to the meeting tonight, but Tanya is like way too busy today, so there's no way she could get done in time. That's why we didn't go to the meeting tonight, which is good because she wouldn't want to drive in this rain anyway. If it's gonna start raining and storming, she wouldn't have wanted to go anyway. She would have probably said at the last minute she wasn't gonna go. So I was like, I want to watch something. Oh, I was eating dinner last night, and I was like, I don't want to. Oh, Alex was heating up his food, and we were going to watch, we didn't watch Vanderpump Villas last night. And so I ate the second half of my piata sandwich last night and some cottage cheese. And I was sitting there eating, and I was watching The Walking Dead, and it was so gross. I was like, I can't watch this while I'm eating watching The Walking Dead. So I was like, I want to watch something. Well, a couple people had recommended to me the documentary called Tell Me Who I Am. And I started it, but I was like literally like a minute or two into it, and I was like, this is boring. I don't want to watch it. That was like a month ago. So it's been on my continue watching thing on Netflix. So I was like, well, let's get back into this and see it. So I started it, and I got like halfway through it. I was so intrigued with this story. And so last night when I got up, I made a cup of coffee. I laid down last night. I'm having, again, weird dreams. Last night I had the weirdest dream. I wrote it down. I mean, like writing down these dreams so I can see if there's like a consistency to it. Now I don't remember it. I can see like where I was standing, but I don't remember. Oh, I was like, a friend of mine was like a teacher in a school, and I was picking up from work, and we were going somewhere. I know he was picking me up after he got off work. And then we were going to like a show, like a musical, which is weird because that's not something I typically do. And we were like at his apartment. He was like trying to pick out the right outfit. It was like this really bizarre dream about a friend of mine that, like this friend of mine, like we've been friends for years and years and years, but I haven't like talked to him in a long time. So, but anyway, like it was weird. It's weird, like when I think about, like I have dreams about people that I haven't thought about in a long time. Like they just, like out of the blue. Oh my God, I just remembered in this dream, these two girls that I was friends with back in the day, they were in the dream too. They were like at the show. That's so bizarre they were in it. I don't know what just like triggered my memory of that part of them. I can see them standing there in my dream. I'm like having glimpses of it, but I can't, like I wrote the whole dream down when I like woke up. But anyway, so I took a nap last night. I like felt dead asleep during my nap, but I didn't sleep too late last night. I got up and I made a cup of coffee and I did my prayers and meditations and stuff. And then I watched the second half of the documentary that's called Tell Me Who I Am. I thought it was fantastic. It's kind of slow moving a little bit, but it's like an hour and a half, and it's about these two identical twin brothers that are from outside of London, and they're like my age, because like when the documentary was made, which was probably 5-7 years ago, they were 54, so now they'd be like 60, so they're, 10 years older than me. And the younger, well, not the younger, they're twins. The one brother, their names are Marcus and Alex. And Alex is in an accident on a motorcycle, and he doesn't, like his helmet falls off, and so he has a brain injury, and he has like total amnesia. He doesn't remember anything, but he does know that his brother Marcus is his twin brother. Like he knows that. It's like the one thing in the world that he knows, and so he trusts him implicitly. And so he moves back home with he's 19, I think 19 at the time, 18 or 19. He moves back home with his mom and his dad and his brother. And so, like, he's asking his brother about, like, did we take vacations? I won't ruin the whole thing for you, but like, did we take vacations as kids? Because he sees pictures of people like taking vacations, and his brother's like, yeah, we took like vacations. We went to the south of France. We did this. And so his brother realizes, and a lot of people have like criticized his brother for this. His brother realizes that he believes anything he says. And so he paints a very different picture of what their childhood was like, when actually their childhood was like horrific and abusive. And so he doesn't, like, to one point he cries in it, and the guy that, like, the brother that has the memory, and he says, I would want somebody that loved me to do that for me. Why make him live through all of that trauma again and that tragedy? Like, he didn't need to do that, and I was living with it, so why make him go through that again? Well, then he finds things, and so then his brother's like, I want to know, and so he tells them, they have this conversation, and then he shows them this videotape, and that he's recorded this thing, because he can't say what happened. I mean, it's horrendous what happened to these twins when they were growing up, these twin boys. And so it's him kind of finding out who he was. But what's really interesting is that his twin brother, through telling his brother like what their childhood was like, he makes up this fantasy fake life that was really never real. He shares in there that he kind of like gets to reinvent what their childhood was like, and it was a way for him to move through the trauma that he experienced. It's really interesting documentary. So much comes out about it, though. I like looked online to see like where they're at today, and if they get along. They're like best friends apparently today, but there's like all these Reddit threads, and people are like, I don't believe their story, and the thing seems made up, and I don't really read like all that kind of stuff, but like I was reading these articles, and people are like speculating, like they're like, they didn't cry, like I didn't notice them crying, and like they're so emotional in the show when they're talking to each other. Like, not everybody when they're emotional is like bawling and sobbing, and these people are like, they're crying but there's no tears, which, I mean, I understand that, but like you can hear the guy's like choked up, like he can't even tell his brother like what happened because he's so choked up he can't even like get his breath, right? So whoever recommended that to me, I just want to say thank you. It was a great documentary. Somebody was like, I feel like one person recommended it to me because they knew I liked true crime. I don't know that I would necessarily call it true crime. It's kind of more of like that genre of documentary. Thunder rolls. It's more of that. I love that though, that sound. I mean, a good thunderstorm is like, listen, we could use the rain and whatever, and listen, I'm not picking these weeds if I can pay somebody to come out here and do it and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I can smell the earth. A good storm brings out the smell of like the earth. I know it sounds weird, but like it just smells. I was like, I heard that car coming. I was like, is that the thunderstorm coming? Sometimes it comes in that quick. Well, obviously anywhere it does, like in the islands and in Florida and stuff like that, it comes in that quick too. But anyway, it's kind of that genre of movies where, like, I watched the one about the triplets that were separated at birth. That one was really, really interesting too, like family history documentaries. The one about the aunt that ended up, the mom or the aunt that ended up. Does anybody know what this documentary is called? I can never remember. And she lived in the house, like she was homeless, and she had a lot of mental health issues, and she went up and lived in this house that like people like were trying to sell, and so there was nobody there, and she collected apples. She literally lived off of apples for an entire winter. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I watched that one. I watched that one, like, What Happened to Aunt Diane. That's always on every single true crime list. It's such a tragic story. It's so sad what happened in that. But the one with the woman that was, like, she, like, journaled the whole thing, and she had, like, mental health issues. I feel like it was her kids that did the documentary. But I don't consider those things, like, necessarily true crime, that are talking about, like, somebody's, like, mental health and how it affects them and where they end up. I don't necessarily... I like those documentaries. Sometimes they're very, very sad. The one about the triplets, why it was kind of considered true crime, was the reason behind why they were split up. And it was all kind of like this study that was being done. That was really, really like weird and intriguing and interesting. Like if you haven't watched that documentary, I don't know what it's called. Just look up documentary about the triplets that found themselves and you'll find it. I can't remember what it's called. But the implications of like the adoption agency and what went behind it and why they were like adopted and stuff like that is like so bizarre, like so bizarre that it even I don't know, like to this day I'm just like, I don't know. And I think one of the twins passed away later. I think he like took his life. It was tragic. It was really, really sad. they like got real famous for a while. They were going to like Studio 54. They were like on the covers of like, because first it was like the two that found each other, and there was like twins find each other separated at birth, and then they realized there was a third one. And so they would go everywhere. They were like, I think they were like in a music video and stuff. They went to Studio 54. They were super famous. There was on talk shows, articles were written about them. They would always dress like the same when they went out and stuff like that. It was, so they were like, had this high life, lived this high life for a while. And then it was like too much for them to handle like the implications of all of it behind what they found out. It's really, really, like, it ends as a sad documentary. But that was a great documentary. But it's kind of like those, what is that documentary about the woman that lived in the house? I can see the White House. And she had these apple trees in this grove behind her, and she would go and pick and eat these apples. She just had like tons of them in the house. And I feel like she journaled, and she was like, I hope these apples will hold me through the... Can you imagine eating just every day an apple? That's what you ate, was apples every single day. I mean, find some gratitude in that, I guess, you know. But, yeah, so I watched a documentary last night, and then I watched The Walking Dead. I am on... So I was already done with episode 1 of season 10. So I'm on, I watched 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I watched 4 episodes last night because I'm on episode 6, just at the beginning. I just like went to the next episode and then paused it and stopped it and got out of Netflix. I was kind of stupid because, so I remembered that Rick leaves the show. Rick Grimes is played by that Andrew Lincoln, who I think is so fine. He is so hot. But I remember that he leaves the show, and it was like a big deal. But I thought he got killed off. I thought they killed him off in the show. So last night, I'm thinking to myself, how can I Google search this in a way that won't ruin the show for me? And so I'm like, I don't want to like Google, does Rick die on The Walking Dead? So I Googled like, does Rick come back? Because he's like gone from the show right now. And so I like read this little synopsis, and it said that Rick leaves in season 9, so he apparently doesn't come back until like the reboot with him and Michonne. But then it also said other people that leave, like in the one paragraph it said like this person leaves in season 10, and I was like, ugh. So now I kind of like know where it's going forward. Season 10 is good. Season 9 has been my favorite season I've watched since 7, 8, 9. 9 was my favorite season so far that I've been binge watching. It was like the best. There was a really sad episode at the very end. If you've watched it, the one where like they kill like 6 people and put their heads on the post, like that was devastating for me to watch. I was really sad. They killed off like main characters. I was really like, they don't like, that's the one thing about The Walking Dead is you never know. Like the next episodes you watch, they might kill off the main character, you know? You never know watching it, like, who they're going to kill off. There's, like, they'll just, like, randomly out of nowhere, like, kill somebody off, remove somebody from a show, or whatever. And now, I kind of like, well, I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the season, but, like, Negan has been, like, reformed a little bit, so I like him, kind of. At the end of the 5th episode, he got caught by the Skinwalker people, so I don't know what's going to happen with him. Hopefully he doesn't become part of the Skinwalkers. But anyway, so I watched that last night, and then I went to bed, and then I got up today, and when this stops at 30 minutes, I'm probably going to go inside and check my uploads to make, because I want to make sure they get uploaded in case, like, the electricity goes down. So if they're uploaded, I want to just, like, make sure everything's ready to go when I go inside. But then I got up today, and I just cleaned up, took Boo Radley out. Boo Radley has been, like, I don't know if, like, he didn't feel good for a couple days, and, like, ever since then, but, like, he just feels 100% better and whatever, but, like, ever since then, he's been, like, a puppy, like, running around constantly, outside and inside. Like, Alex came home tonight, and he was like, oh my god, you're, like, going crazy, Boo Radley. He's like, do you need to go out? I go, I literally just took him outside. He was just outside running around. He was like, so he's just excited to see me. I mean, he is, like, jumping up on Alex, running up and down the stairs. He's acting like a crazy, I mean, I'm so happy. It makes me happy, right? But it's, like, so funny that he's, like, acting like that when, like, I was so worried about him just a couple days ago, you know? So, well, maybe I'll finish the vlog, and then I'll go inside and check on the videos. I don't think the storm's going to come in the next half an hour. They usually say it's going to be, like, till 8 or 9. Like, tonight it's 9. They usually say till 9, then you'll look, and they'll extend it to, like, 11, and then, like, nothing happens, and you're like, oh, okay, so I hope nothing happens. I hope everybody's safe. But, so then I have my therapy session today, because he could meet on Tuesday instead of Thursday this week. And then at the end of it, we finished the trauma narrative today, and so we scheduled my next appointment. He was like, "Do you want to meet next week?" I said, "Let's just do 2 weeks. Let's go 2 weeks out because I need like a break after doing this trauma narrative and stuff like that." So the camera stopped. So we scheduled my next appointment, I think 2 weeks from Thursday. It was when, because I wanted to get him back on Thursdays, because he was like, "Do you like Tuesdays or Thursdays better?" And I said Thursdays because I have cousin fun day on Wednesdays, and Tuesdays, if I go to a meeting with Tanya, it's hard for me to get like videos done and have therapy and do all that kind of stuff. He's like, "Okay, totally fine. We're totally cool. Let's just do that. Fine." So we finish a trauma narrative today, and he was like, "This is an interesting question because this is kind of what you've been like posing for like the last few months, like talking about all this stuff." And the question was something to the effect of like, "Where do you see your life going from here?" And it was interesting what came out of it because, you know, I said, I think part of it just got really dark up there. I said, you know, I think part of it is one of the things that's really helped in the last few months. Talking to his mother was like literally somebody just handed me freedom on a plate. Like, honest to God, like I can't even tell you how transformative that conversation was for me, and what grace she gave me. Like, I mean, that just was like, it was something that I didn't know I needed, and I didn't think would ever happen, or not like that. And so that like made me really change kind of my perspective going forward, of not having like this constant punishing attitude in my head, because she took that away from me. She was like, you know, you can't continue to torture yourself and punish yourself for the rest of your life. She was like, it wasn't your fault that this happened, and I can reconcile to that. You need to, you know, move on too. And I just, you know, I for so long lived in like all this remorse and guilt and whatever, and just to hear her say that to me, just, you know, and the things that she said, and I'm not going to get into everything that she said, but she just was like, it just, I don't know, it completely changed my perspective. It was such a gift that she gave me. It was so kind, you know, and she didn't have to do that. And so, I mean, before that, I would say like I always look at the driveway. It's like, I always think like I'm going to wake up one day and it's like, I always tell people this, it's like, it's not like I'm going to wake up and there's going to be a car in the driveway and things are going to be back to normal. Like, that's not going to happen, right? Like, it's not going to go back to before, ever. It's never going to go back to what it was like before. And, you know, there's a lot of, like, profound changes that have occurred in my life that, and I'm just talking about my experience with it right now, but, like, you know, I made the choice to not drive. I've made other choices in my life that have impacted it as a result of the accident, that I feel good about those choices. But I think, like, for a while, I felt like, I even talked about it on video, I felt like, there's so many gnats around me right now. I felt very, like, isolated. Like, I just was here all the time, and I didn't go anywhere, and my circle was very small. And I would say that in videos, and now it's starting to rain again. It stopped for a little bit, now it's starting to rain again. At some point, that changed, and I started becoming, I think it was, like, in doing a lot of gratitude work, and that changed in being grateful for our home and our front porch and Alex and Boo, to come, you know, be with them all day long and on the weekends and whatever, and the pool and my neighbors and my yard, and loving our cozy house, little house, you know, and being grateful for TV shows and all that kind of stuff. And I stopped wanting for this bigger thing. And so when he asked me that today, I said, you know, I think the biggest thing for me is, I don't know if this will make sense to anybody unless you view the world the same way that I do, but it's that I feel like everything for me is seen from a reference point of after the accident. Like, before the accident or after the accident. Like, that's how, like, when I'm talking to people in my life, my personal life, like, I'm always like, well, you know, before the accident, this is how, or after the accident, you know, this is how. And I was like, I wish that I could stop that, right? Like, I wish that I can't live the next 20 years of my life with everything being before or after the accident, like that as a reference point, you know. It's like this, you know, point in my life of everything as a reference point to the accident. I can't, because then everything is defined if that's the reference point, that everything is defined by the accident before and after, I can't continue to live like that. That's like no way to live, right? And when I'm having like the mother of the person that passed in the accident say to me, you have to go on and live your best life, like you need to do that, right? Then I can't live my best life with everything being a reference point from the accident. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's always remembering, always living every day remembering it, right? But it's like not that. And I was saying to him, what's interesting about this is we kind of broke it down a little bit. And I was like, you know, much of my life I've lived that way. Like before my mom passed away, after my mom passed away. And I think before the accident, that was the reference point. And then it was like periods with my ex, periods with Alex, periods with my other ex. You guys probably even witnessed that I do that on my vlog. I have these reference points of like major periods in my life, right? And so we went back and I said, I feel like I've always done that. And then I kind of caught myself and I was like, no, I didn't really do that like in my childhood. Like when I was growing up and in high school and stuff like that, I didn't really do that. And he was like, when do you remember that being like the first time? When do you remember being like the first time that you like had a reference point in your life where you would say after this or before that? And I was like, when I got sober. And I was like, it's like I started viewing the world, and I do it on here. You guys will hear me all the time. I'll say before I got sober. I just probably did it 5 times in this video today. Before I got sober, after I got sober. I always see things as reference points in my life, right? And I said, but the biggest one for me is the accident. Like, I see everything now as either, and it's not just, and I know that if you're not walking in my shoes, it might not make a lot of sense to you unless you've gone through like a traumatic experience where you've done the same thing. Because it's not just about saying it or verbalizing to people before or after. It's not just about that. It's about defining everything in my life as what happened after and who am I now as a result of that, and who I was before, and then the accident stopped that and this is who I am today. It's not just the saying it like, oh well, before the accident this, or like, you know, after the accident. It's like every time I go through that, like, you know, it's like after the accident I don't drive anymore, right? Like then it's like the processing of in my head of why I don't and what's happened and why I made that choice and things like that. And so it's a constant reliving of all of that. And I was like, I can't continue to live my life and try to live my best life, even in gratitude, when my reference point is constantly, my constant reference point is always the accident. I can't do that, you know? And so I was talking to him today and I said about all this, and he goes, so then you need a new reference point. You need a rebirth. And I was like, okay, like that's an interesting perspective. He's like, no, he's like, you need a rebirth. Like you need to do something that you have a new reference point on. And so he was giving me some suggestions. He was like, because he's got tattoos, and so he was like, have you thought about getting a tattoo? And I was like, I have. I said, I'm not like a big pain person. He's like, well, some of them don't hurt. And I was like, you know, but in all honesty, like, I don't think a tattoo would be a rebirth for me. It would be something I did, but I don't think I'd say before or after that tattoo. And then he was like, well, you and Alex have talked a lot about renewing your vows. And I was like, yeah, that's something we want to do, but I don't even think that, like, would be, like, a significant, like, it would be significant, but I don't think it would be, like, a significant journey that I had gone through, or I would say before or after the vow renewals. Probably in discussing our marriage, I would, but I don't think in everything in my life. And so he was like, well, what if you went to, like, a retreat? Like, there's a lot of, like, renewal retreats, rebirth retreats. And I was like, okay, I don't know, because I haven't done it, so I don't know that that would give me that reference point, but I do think that that's something that I want to do. Like, I do think going to, like, a renewal retreat for me, Tanya and I have talked about, like, going to, like, Hazelden for years. They have these, like, recovery renewal. Oh, it just got real weird outside. It's got, like, real grayish blue. Okay, I'm gonna have to go inside in a second. And, they have them, like, for 4 days or 2 days and stuff like that. You basically, it's just like going back to, like, it's like a renewal of, like, everything you learned in, like, early recovery and early treatment and stuff like that. There's, you know, there's 12-step retreats, there's 12-step conventions and things like that, but that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, going, like, I had a friend of mine that just went, I think she went to, like, St. Thomas or St. John, and it was an all-women's renewal retreat, and she was there with, like, 20 women, and it was, like, yoga, eating healthy, go to the beach, digging deep, really learning about yourself, sharing deep stuff about yourself. Like, I want to do something like that. I need to look into that. If anybody knows anything like that out there, or has done one and it's been, like, a great experience for you, please let me know in the comment section below, or email me if you don't want to share it. But I want to look for some experience like that. I think that would be really, really healthy for me. But it was interesting because I've been really struggling with this health journey, this weight loss journey. You know, I lose some weight and then I gain it back. And then I lose a pound and I gain it back. I stay stuck. And then, you know, like, I'm frustrated, and then I have a good day and I have a bad day and whatever. And so when we were talking, I was like, I need the experience to be something that's going to be transformative for me. A journey that I go through, that I work hard, that's a struggle for me, that on the other side I look back and I don't feel like I'm the same person that I was on the other side. And all of a sudden I just was like, I feel like I just repurposed. I'll probably talk about this on Thursday, but I feel like I just repurposed this health journey for me. Like, I feel like I just came up with an entirely new reason and new meaning to me doing the health journey. Like, I feel like I need that to be, I need to throw myself completely into it, and I haven't done that yet. To the point where I have this absolutely transformative experience. Not just my body, not just my weight, fitting in better clothes, but body, mind, and soul. I need to have a completely transformative journey on this health journey. You know, whether that means reading 10 motivational self-help books this summer. I wanted to walk to run, and I haven't really been moving in that direction at all. I thought I'd be there by June, and that's not going to happen. You know, working towards the goal of, like, starting to run every single day, even in the winter, you know, eating healthy, being about, like, my whole, like, the making the physical match my soul, match my mind, you know, mind, body, and soul, the whole thing. I feel like if I did something like that and I forced myself through it, I feel like I've been looking at it over here as far as, like, weight, eating issues, food issues, and all this kind of stuff, when really it's like, I need to go through a completely transformative experience, body, mind, and soul. And so I did some things last night, you know, like, I wasn't going to actually share this on video, but I put today's date on there as today, so I'll share it. This is just living out loud for me, you know? I had this moment in Florida where I was like, I focused so much on the negative and the people that don't like me, and I haven't liked it when other people have done that, but I'm doing it because it's so hard to, like, get away from it, right? But the reality is that I feel healthier when I'm not talking about it. And then I came back, and so I said that in Florida. I was like, I'm not talking about it anymore. I'm done with it, blah, 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 whatever. And then I came back from Florida, and it was like slowly, a little bit at a time, I started talking more about it, made jokes about it, and whatever. And now I feel like I'm right back there again. And it's not healthy for me. And so last night, when I was, like, thinking about this, I was like, okay, I need to be I just need to be positive moving forward. Like, I need to focus on the positive. I need to focus on the people that love to watch my videos. I need to focus on the people that have been there for me from day one or from last year, the kind messages, the vloggerinos, the people that leave comments on all my channels, the people that are watching the movies with me, the people that are encouraging me, the people I need to focus on that positivity, right? You know, like, I can remember when I was in Florida and I was, like, getting kind of ate up with it, and I talked to Dustin Daly on the phone, and Dustin was like, if I were able to travel and have this amazing trip that you're having right now, I can tell you sure as shit I wouldn't be thinking about making no videos about, like, what the haters think of me. He's like, I tell him I give a shit, you know? And, like, that really, like, stuck with me in my head, and I was like, he's so right. Like, and yet I still, like, allow it to eat at me, and I've done a lot of therapeutic work on it, and I think it's so much because of my being so focused in my past on the bullying and being liked and all that kind of stuff. I just need to let it go. And so last night I was like, going forward, and this will be probably the only time, I hope, you know, in a video. I said in that video in Florida, I said if I talk about it, I talk about it. If I don't, I don't. But I don't want to focus on it. But last night I kind of made this decision. I was like, they're going to talk about me whether... If I say something, I don't say something, they talk about me just as much. It makes no difference. So there's no reason for me to continue to talk about it online. Like, it's being dealt with behind the scenes. That's all anybody needs to know. When their day in the sun comes, they'll find out. They can think I'm a joke. I don't care. I just need to let it go. I need to let it go. I need to focus on Peter getting healthy, moving forward. I need to focus on those of you that are so kind to watch me every day. And I know that, right? Like, I feel it in my heart, but, like, I need to really spend my attention over there. There's, like, so many people that are so kind. You guys are so nice to watch my videos every day. I need to focus on that. I need to focus on healing my mind, body, and soul and going through this transformative experience. There's always going to be somebody out there that doesn't like you. I know that, right? And I need to focus on that and do that, right? And at the same time, then I have the therapy session today, and it comes, and I'm like thinking about this health journey, this weight loss journey, and that like I need to completely just like change the direction of how I'm looking about it. It's not just about food addiction and my issues. It's about, I need to have this complete transformative experience, right? And stop talking so much about it and be more about the walk and just do it, you know? And just be like, this is where I want to be, and I don't even know what comes after that and what that looks like, and just start on the journey and go. And wherever you end up is where you're supposed to end up. I've always been a believer in that. And I got real excited. It was the first time in a long time that I've gotten really excited about doing all this kind of stuff, you know? And so it was really helpful for me when he said, you need a different reference point. Because I could see myself on the other side if I had gone through this transformative health healing journey, not just going to a retreat, not just losing weight, not just starting to walk to the point where I'm running, not just getting healthy and all that kind of stuff, but all of it over, I mean, if it happened 6 months to 2 years, I could feel like on the other side, I could see myself being like, after I've gone through this journey, this health journey, this transformative experience, I'm a different person today. That's not going to come from me in a tattoo. It's not going to come from me in vow renewals, or, you know, because he was talking about writing a book. Like, if you wrote the book, and I was like, that doesn't even feel like, you know. And so we talked about it, and he was like, well, what do you want that to look like? And I was like, I have no idea. I just know I just need to start it. I need to pack my backpack and get on the road, figuratively, and just go. I need to go on that journey, and wherever it takes me, it takes me, and wherever I end up and whoever I become is whoever I end up and I become. And he was like, are you telling me this is what you want to start working on now that we're done with the trauma narrative? And I was like, yeah, but I need 2 weeks. I need 2 weeks to like have a break, because I got to do, in the next 2 weeks, I got to work on this this inventory for my sponsor, and she really wants to do that, and I just want to do all this and get this going, and then I'm excited about it, you know? I want to look up some self-help books, and I don't love the word self-help, but motivational books. I mean, they are self-help books, so, you know? Some books I've always wanted to read that I haven't read, and really go on this soul-searching journey about what I want. I'm coming up on 52. What do I want the rest of my life to look like, you know? I've been focusing so much attention in the last couple days on really thinking about, like, the perfect gift for Alex, because he turns 40, you know, this year. I've been like, what's the perfect gift for him? And I really wanted to get him a really, really nice watch for his birthday. And then I was like, you know, like, I wanted to help with this trip a little bit, and so I've done a little bit of that, and I wanted to plan some experience for him that was really fun, and I don't really know, like, what the right thing is. And for him, like, I said something to him, he's like, babe, you don't have to give me anything, like, you know, obviously I'm going to get him something for his birthday, but, like, I didn't really know. And then him turning 40 and me thinking about, I mean, we've been together, this August will have been 16 years that we've been together. That's a long time, right? Like, that's all of elementary, junior high, high school, and college together, that we've been together. You know, 16 years is a long time. And I was like, I'm not who I was when I met him. He's not who he was when he met me, and I'm a different person today. And what do I want the next... My mom got sober at 51. She lived 13 years after that, and she continued to grow and change and read all these books, and her soul changed, and she prioritized different things in life and lived out of gratitude. And it's like, okay, I'm here. Where do I want to go next? Where do I want that next part of my journey? And I don't know what that looks like, but I know I want it, you know? And I don't necessarily need to know what that looks like, but I'm excited about it. And it's the first time in a long time that I've been really excited about becoming something different. So if you guys have any recommendations for books that, like, changed your life, please put them in the comment section below. Any activities, things like that, I would love to hear that. So, okay, it's starting to rain a little bit harder, so I'm going to get off here now, go inside before the storm, try to get these videos up, so make sure I get them at least rendered and uploaded before the storms come. And I love you guys so much. I hope that you're having a magic... Thanks for listening to me today. You guys have no idea how much just you guys watching my vlogs and all my other videos and your support and your kindness now and through the years has meant to me. It's just, it means the world to me. And if any of you feel like I haven't focused on that, I can tell you going forward, that's where my attention will be. And going on this journey. And I love you guys so much. I hope you're having the most magically amazing Tuesday. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Love you.